promises to come back, but not the same as he used to be. His greater fear than dying in a war is coming back to Grace, knowing that she finds someone new. While he's focusing on writing, the sound of the whistle that indicates his real challenge begins, the start of the war. In Arthur's surroundings, all of his men are staying on the ground and waiting for his signal to start. He talks briefly to his best friend in the field, Corporal Richard Jennings. While they are talking, a soldier from the other end runs toward them. Private Connolly delivers a message from the lieutenant, who asks for Arthur's presence to address his command. Before Arthur leaves, private soldiers look at Fritz from the other side. One of them is Private Riley, who can't stop peeping until he gets shot in the head and immediately dies. Arthur gets mad and commands his men to pick up Riley's dead body, and while they are doing that, he notices a God-fearing soldier who keeps on praying on the side, Private Angus O'Leary. Arthur notices his fear, but he encourages him to be brave, especially when they're in the war. Arthur takes his steps to the lieutenants. They talk privately in a cabin, and the lieutenant commands him to give it a shot because, at 2100 hours, they will attack the Fritz by planting bombs in the middle of trenches. Arthur refuses at first because he knows it's like a suicide attack. They can't go after the Germans because they have a lot of men. But the lieutenant is stone-hearted, and he still wants them to go and attack the Germans. With a heavy heart, Arthur comes back to the base and talks to Rich, and he says that he doesn't need heroics this time, just to keep the men moving. With that command, Rich whistles and starts the attack. All of their soldiers come out of their hiding place, and the war begins. Sounds of guns are everywhere, and soldiers are falling from their feet one by one. Non-stop sounds shout towards each other. German machine guns are firing that seem endless. It kills many English men. One of the English soldiers gets shot in his leg and falls into a puddle. He can't walk. Arthur picks him up and tells him to shoot even if he cannot walk, and he follows Arthur's command as Arthur is pulling him. But the thing is, one of the cannons fires directed at them, and they fall again. Arthur, on the other hand, takes his gunshot and aims explicitly at the soldier behind the cannon, and he gets to shoot and kill them. However, after a bloody war, Arthur walks in their yard again, in their home. Grace sees him as she looks out the window. She cannot believe it, running out of their house. Grace hugs Arthur so dearly, for they do not see each other for 3 years. They start to walk and talk about their lives when a sudden sound of a baby's cry catches Arthur's attention. He sees a toddler in the kitchen, a baby girl, as he looks back. He starts to get furious, and Grace stutters as she tries to explain. Arthur walks out and hits Grace. That's when she wakes up from the dream and holds her tummy because it is true that she's pregnant. Arthur wakes up from his unconsciousness, inside a puddle wherein he fell asleep. He looks at his watch, and it says it's 7:20 in the evening. The attack is near. He put out his hat and slowly put it out, waiting for someone to shoot it. When there is no one, he slowly crawls in the mud and looks for someone who also breathes. Not so far from him, he sees Private O'Leary facing his face in the mud, covered with fear. Arthur slowly crawls to him, and he tries to wake him up. He is still alive. When O'Leary gets into his senses, he panics and hurts Arthur, but Arthur tries to calm him down. He finally gets into his senses and recognizes Arthur, and he keeps on apologizing to him. Someone from the German troops shoots the tree and takes it down. They're suspicious about their surroundings, but with that action, English men are able to see where they are coming from. However, German soldiers give a warning shot that enables them to see people yards away. On the other side, the lieutenant wakes up and alarms his men to prepare for the 9 p.m. attack. O'Leary and Arthur are talking while lying on the ground. O'Leary is looking for his dear friend, Private Franklin or Frankie. He never stops talking about him, and it makes Arthur annoyed with his actions. He explains that he promises his mom that he will keep him safe and get him home. That's why he's looking after him. When Arthur gets mad, he puts his hand on O'Leary and says to him that if he ever hears him talk about Franklin again, he will kill him. Until they hear someone coughing. It's Colonel Richard Jennings. They slowly crawl to him and find him alive, but his right leg is already cut off. Because of their suspicious action on the ground, German soldiers start to fire again, and luckily they can hide and not get hurt. Arthur decides to pull Jennings on a safer side with the help of O'Leary, though Jennings says that he doesn't want them to do that anymore and leave him alone, but Arthur promises that they will go home together. When they find a spot, they reminisce about how long they've been far away from their families, and it's been 3 years in war and a year in that mission. Arthur pulls out his wallet from his pocket and looks at Grace's photo. He honestly says that he can't remember her anymore, only because of the help of the picture. O'Leary looks at the image and wishes he has someone waiting for him. However, Grace goes to an abortion clinic in London and looks for the infamous Dr. Bennett, who successfully aborts a pregnant woman. When Grace goes to his office, Dr. Bennett rejects Grace's wish to abort her baby because it's too dangerous and it might kill her. He doesn't want to do an abortion anymore. Dr. Bennett forces Grace to leave. When Grace is about to leave, Bennett's nurse, Eve, sees Grace and pities her. She says that she needs some company and she offers herself. They are talking about the baby and why she wants the baby out of her body. Arthur and O'Leary are still pulling Jennings back in the war, but the Germans fire their light gun again, and they stop moving. When they land in a safer place, Arthur commands O'Leary to get Jennings' leg to stop the bleeding. O'Leary follows his order and goes alone to a dead medic soldier and gets the kid attached to his arms. Arthur and Jennings talk to each other while O'Leary is gone. Arthur tells how he finds O'Leary with fear and cowardice. Jennings tries to explain to Arthur that they all used to be scared when it was their first time. Germans hear the murmurs and start an explosion. When the three of them stand up, the Germans start shooting at them. O'Leary gets hit on his leg but safely gets out of there. O'Leary sees Frankie, and he leaves the two. However, Eve and Grace enjoy each other's company and talk about Grace's unwanted child. Eve shares the story of her sister, who also happens to have one. Eve tries to convince Grace to reconsider her decision, and Grace has already made up her mind. She even says that she doesn't want to break her marriage or lose Arthur. But Eve reminds her that Arthur will choose Grace to be alive rather than see her dead instead. Eve also mentions that she has a fiancé in a war and hasn't seen him in 3 years. O'Leary keeps on thanking Arthur for saving him while Jennings falls asleep on the ground. Arthur explains to O'Leary that if they can't go to the trench in 20 minutes, the Fritz will attack hard, making it harder for them to get out. But first, Arthur asks O'Leary to get something again for Jennings, suggesting getting the medical bag. They both agree, and Arthur orders O'Leary to cover for him. He goes out and gets the bag while O'Leary is shooting at the Germans and covering for Arthur. When Arthur goes back, O'Leary questions him that if it is Frankie, will he be doing the same, and Arthur gets pissed. O'Leary forces Arthur to return to the cavalry and tell them they're alive, but Arthur refuses because they should be there. But since they're running out of time, O'Leary runs back to the cavalry, and Arthur cannot stop him. The shootings from both sides start again, and the lieutenant commands his men to shoot O'Leary, but they say that he is part of them, but he commands them to shoot him anyway. O'Leary didn't get hurt, but he fell into the trench and blew it off. Every effort and waiting becomes useless. All of them are disappointed and lose hope. Notwithstanding, Eve goes to the house of Grace to start the procedure of abortion. Eve gets curious why there are no people except her, and Grace says that all of her maids are on days off so that they can go freely. All of the things they need are there in the basement, and Eve is hesitant at first. However, Arthur is still fixing Jennings' leg. He screams in pain, giving the Germans a clue where to find them. They start crawling, but they hear the Germans coming nearby, so they play dead. A cloud of smoke is coming from somewhere, making them nauseous. They cover their nose with a cloth. The Germans can reach the fence and trench without any worries, so the English soldiers inform the lieutenant that the Germans are coming. When the Germans are searching for alive English soldiers, one of them finds Arthur and Jennings' bodies, and he inspects them to see if they are indeed dead. He first considers Arthur's wallet and throws it away, then goes to Jennings next. He touches his body to see if there are weapons. He pushes it with his gun until he sees that Jennings' right leg is torn off, and Jennings screams out loud. The German soldier tries to kill Jennings, but Arthur wakes up from his back and attacks him. They fight each other, but luckily, Jennings hides his pistol inside his uniform, shoots the German soldier down, and makes his best friend safe. Arthur picks up Jennings and carries him on his shoulders, and they start to walk away from their place. Back with Grace, she is screaming with pain as Eve starts her procedure. Within a few minutes, she starts losing blood and her breath. Eve immediately stops the abortion and tells Grace that it's killing her, but Grace wants her to continue, though Eve refuses. Grace is slowly but out of breath, and she tells her that whatever happens, Arthur must not know the truth, because it will kill him more. Tears are falling from Eve's face as Grace slowly dies in her arms. She has her hand until her last breath, and the only thing that she can do is pour out the pain that she feels. Grace dies from abortion. In the war, Arthur and Jennings stop when he feels like he is also dying. Arthur puts him down, and they tell each other that they will come home together. But Jennings couldn't do it anymore, and he takes out a piece of paper out of his pocket, a letter he had written for his fiancée. He asks Arthur to tell his fiancée that he loves her so much. He says these words as he catches his last breath. Arthur has no choice but to cry and look at the best friend drying on his arms. Jennings dies. The war ends. Arthur comes home, but he goes straight to the prison where Eve is. He asks the warden to get him in because of Jennings' request, and when he gets inside, Eve is in the corner crying. He asks her name and gives her the letter Jennings gave him. Eve breaks down and does not say a word, Arthur touches her neck and is about to choke her, but he can control his anger. Before he leaves, he asks Eve what the last words Jennings spoke are, and he was a good man. He left